action.
All right, so this is a presentation on school climate and effective schools. I'm Keith Brancheau with Jacksonville State University. One of the things we're going to look at is the 7 correlates of effective schools. And there are instructional leadership, clear and focused mission, safe and orderly environment, climate of high expectations, frequent monitoring of student progress, positive homeschool relations, and the opportunity to learn. So I gave you guys a climate survey, and there was 25 questions long. I know all you guys filled them out as best you could. And what I'm going to do is tie in the responses from that survey to the 7 correlates. The first one is instructional leadership. And the main keys about instructional leadership is that the principal effectively communicates the mission, and the principal gives everybody a shared sense of purpose. In the climate questions, the 2 I went with out of the 25 to address this are administrators trust my judgment, and then number 22, I look forward to coming to work. And it might sound kind of funny. Why would you go with looking forward to coming to work? And I can't tell you how many times I've had a fellow teacher that would leave a position or leave a school, and you'd say, well, you had it really good there. I thought you liked your job there. And they'd say, well, I love the kids. I love my job. I just didn't like the principal. And I don't think that you can look forward to going to work if you don't have strong leadership. So this is going to be a little bit like Family Feud. I'm going to show you guys the questions that I asked, and I'm going to give you the results. So here's what the survey said. Number 8, the administrators trust my judgment. We go from a range of strongly agree all the way to strongly disagree. And the results on this were about 85 to 90% that all the staff felt like the administration trusted their judgment, which is pretty overwhelmingly positive. And number 2, looking forward to coming to work, 100% of the staff felt like they looked forward to coming to work. And it was actually more strongly agreed than agreed. So I think that's a strong indicator of the leadership that we have. One of the artifacts that I brought up was the weekly updates that we get from the program coordinator, Ms. Glidden. Every Sunday night, they usually come out at about 11 o'clock, and I refuse to read them until the next day, though, because I don't want it to feel like Monday yet. But everything you might need to know for the week is there, and the staff will come in. Hey, did you see this on the weekly update? And they come without question every Sunday night. Well, I didn't see that. What do I got to do? And it makes things so much easier and clearer for us. The second is a clear and focused mission, and that means that we clearly articulated the mission of the school, and the staff share commitment to school goals. I mean, you look at the name of our program, the Haven Academy. It serves 2 purposes. A, when you think about the word haven, you think about a safe place for somebody. And then you've also got what Haven stands for. Can anybody tell me what Haven stands for? The H? Go ahead.
Yeah, Haven, the H is for, oh my gosh,
Hope.
achievement, victory, encouragement, and nobility.
And nobility. And so even in the name, we are articulating our mission of the school. Every time the kids say it, whether they realize it or not, I go to Haven, or I'm in Haven, I'm a Haven teacher. We're letting people know the mission of our school. So when we looked at the climate questions, I decided to go with number 16 and number 20. Number 16 says, teachers care if students are successful. And number 20 is, teachers foster a supportive climate. If you don't care if your students are successful, if you have teachers that don't care if their students are successful, you might as well not have a mission. And if you don't have a supportive climate, it's the same thing. You might as well not have a mission if there's not a supportive climate there for the students. So when we looked at the results on number 16, 60% felt like other teachers strongly agreed that other teachers cared if they were successful, and then you had 40% that agreed. So again, this is 100% between strongly agree and agree, and we can see here the correlation of strongly agree. Number 20, teachers foster a supportive climate. This was another one that was 100%. 80% agreed, 20% strongly agreed. So, and one of the things, when you talk about the mission, I'm sure you guys have seen this before, and I thought about this, and I'm not sure how accurate I am, but typically when the students are in class and they're upset, where do they typically go?
Mr. Jerry.
Mr. Giro's office, or where?
Miss Thompson.
Ms. Thompson's office. And I did this to scale it, but you almost can't get away from our behavioral model, because this is all over the hallways, and even, like I said, you go into Ms. Thompson's office, it's there and it's huge. You can't miss it. I look at it every time I go in there. So the students are constantly surrounded by not only the mission, but the behavioral model itself. The next correlate is a safe and orderly environment. So the keys to this are they're free from threat of physical harm, and the climate is not oppressive. So when I looked at the questions, I looked at school is a safe place to work, and number 13, some children carry guns and knives. And that was two things from the climate survey. Number one, 99% of the people that took the survey felt like the school is a safe place to work. 30% strongly agreed, around 69% agreed, and then there's 1% that did not agree. And then some children carry guns and knives to school, number 13. A majority were disagreed. We have some that strongly disagreed, and then we had a few that agreed. And I think that goes back to the incident we had a few months ago where a student in the other building brought a gun to school. And so in our building, I don't think that's ever been an issue, but it has been an issue in a close vicinity to us. Climate of high expectations. So this is the next correlate. Demonstrates that students can obtain mastery and teachers believe that they can help the students. When I looked at the climate questions for this, I went with when you guys answered if students would be successful in college or community college, and then we prepare students to be productive. And when you're setting expectations, I don't think, unless you expect 100% of your students to go on to school beyond high school, you can't expect for all of them to go to school beyond high school. And then the fact that we prepare students to be productive, if you go in with the mindset that I can't get this child to be productive after high school, then that child probably already is going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. I looked at the results for this and they were a little mixed. Around 15% strongly agreed that students would be successful in college. Almost 40% agreed that students would be successful in college. Some were not sure. About 25 disagreed, and about a little over 10% strongly disagreed. So a little bit of a mix there. And when you think about our population being a self-contained emotional behavior disorder program, it's probably a little different for us than it would be other schools. We prepare students to be productive, and a vast majority of us agreed and strongly agreed that we could get these students productive for life beyond high school. And when we look at the goals that we set, I put a picture of the wall of fame here when we set those high expectations, because the students, every time they walk in the front door, see what those expectations are, where they stand with graduation. Did I pass the Georgia high school graduation test for writing? Did I pass the science portion of graduation test? And I've seen this really encourage the students to achieve higher, and this has been a very overall positive thing for the school. Frequent monitoring of student progress. We're measuring progress frequently, and the results from that monitoring improved goals and curriculum. Climate questions I chose for this are number 10, the students are capable of high achievement on exams, and number 20, 3 students will have difficulty regardless of instruction. And where I was going with this is how motivated are we to frequently monitor student progress? When we looked at the results, number 10, almost 60% of the people disagreed that the students were capable of high achievement on exams, and then number 23, students will have difficulty regardless of instruction. most people agree that that would be the case, and given our population, that's a little bit understandable. What do you guys think that we could do maybe to work on that? That mindset of going in and thinking, well, most of these students aren't going to achieve high on these exams, or most of these students are going to struggle regardless of how strong the instruction is. Is there any suggestions anybody has for that? Go ahead.
I think you need to convince the kids that they can achieve and be real supportive of them constantly supporting and helping them along, and get them believing it, and once they believe they can achieve, then they usually do a little bit better.
The testimonials from the other kids who've passed, I think that helps our kids a lot when their
Yeah.
peers talk about it.
Listen. Positive homeschool relations, this is a big one for all teachers. Parents understand and support the mission, and parents help school achieve their mission. Questions I went with are parents are supportive of school, and then number 24, I've met most parents or caretakers. The results on this were a little bit mixed, about 50-50 on whether we felt like the parents were supportive of the school, and then most of us strongly agreed or agreed that we've met the parents or the caretakers. Opportunity to learn and student time on task. So this is the day-to-day interruptions, and then the disruptions detract from effective instruction. When I looked at the climate questions from this, number 4 talked about how students fight a lot, and we answered the questions on that, and then number 15 addressed, do we address bullying once a month? And most of us disagreed that the students fight a lot, which is good. However, about 30% of us agree that they do fight, and that does take away from instructional time. Addressing bullying once a month. So most of us, 99% of us, have to address bullying at least once a month. And typically when that happens, we're having to take away from instructional time to address a behavior, to address a student, and that's something to look at. So I guess if a few you could answer this one, which area did you find most interesting, and then what correlation do you think we need to work the hardest on? So which one did you guys think was the most interesting of the 7 correlations?
Well, I have to say, I was really surprised about the question about students being capable of achieving high on the test. I was surprised by that, but I guess it depends on the perspective that you're coming from. Because like I hadn't really thought about it in terms of like what Mr. Brown was saying, you know, as far as I was thinking that they're capable being based on their own beliefs and their capability, because that's, you know, that's different. So that one was pretty interesting to me.
And then it's probably safe to say that's a correlation we probably need to focus on. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. If you have any other questions, just let me know after the presentation.